Welcome back to GBGuns. Back from the range with the Colt Competition 9mm 1911. What a sharp looking gun. Fun gun. Of course, ran through full mag +1 and our standard what's for dinner, which I had particular interest in with a 9mm 1911 since sometimes they're known to be problematic. 5 shots from 7 yards, and an extra that I did that those of you who follow us on Facebook and Instagram were already aware of is a magazine compatibility test. So if I set these for level and you look at the back, you can see different pickup shapes. That's through here. You can see different follower shapes and where they rise. And on the front, you can see they all have slightly different height to them. That's another challenge with 9mm 1911s because the 9mm stacks at a different angle than 45, which is what the 1911 was originally designed for. So one of the challenges is having a magazine that works. Now, I had good faith that the Colt mags that came with it would run just fine. I wanted to see how 4 other brands would run. So you'll see that in the video as well. Just run through some ball ammo with them to see how they fit. I'm gonna get this thing apart and clean it up, let you guys take a look at the footage, and tell me what you think. Colt Competition 9mm 1911, all steel. We'll start off, of course, with our full mag +1. There's our 1 and our full mag. Got a piece of steel at about 20 yards or so, just so I have something to aim at. We'll see how the gun runs. Very smooth shooter. So with 9mm 1911s, part of the challenge is magazine geometry. Those of you that follow the Instagram and Facebook saw my photo earlier on showing the different followers and geometry that these different mag makes have. We know the Colt factory mags work in the Colt gun, no surprise there. What I want to see is how these other mags work. So just like the what's for dinner, except we're going to be running the different mags, 3 shots of standard 115 grain Freedom Munitions ball ammo just to see how it runs. They each have a different way of filling that extra gap from Browning's original body designed for 45. This first mag is a metal form and it has an indentation on the front to shorten up the mag. Kind of a gritty insertion. Fed the first, but runs. Next up we have a Zenith magazine. This is from when they were importing those T-Shots 1911s. A little bit of a gritty insertion. Fed the first. This next one is a Metgar magazine, long regarded as sort of the standard in great magazines. Inserted nicely. Fed the first. And the last one we have, nice beautiful stainless, is from Springfield. Flawless insertion, fed, runs. So why is that important? For your average 9mm 1911, nobody would really care, but this being a competition model, guys are going to be hitting the range with a whole bunch of mags. What we've just shown you is there are 4 other mags besides the Colt mags that will run in this gun. What's for dinner this time has a shorter lineup. Ran out of a couple types of rounds waiting for the mailman. But we're going to do 165 grain subsonic Hush from Freedom Munitions, 147 grain hollow point from Remington, 125 grain Hornady steel match. Now steel expands less than aluminum and sometimes that can cause issues. 115 grain hollow point from Hornady. From Fiocchi we've got a 100 grain light for caliber centerfire loaded hollow point, or sorry, not hollow point, divot top. Gecko 94 grain, and then our lightest as always is the Liberty 65 grain. Let's see how it runs. Starting off, what's for dinner? Hush 165 grain subsonic from Freedom Munitions. We're going to be running 3 rounds of each ammo type. The intent to see if with this barrel length, spring, etc., does it generate enough energy to cycle the action twice, and the 3rd time to lock it open.
That 165 grain ran fine but didn't lock open. Next up, another subsonic hollow point this time. 147 grain from Remington, their HTP. Now, Hornady's steel match, 125 grain steel case. Steel case is important because the expansion happens a little bit differently than your standard brass cases. Hornady's American Gunner, 115 grain hollow point. Very common round, and for competitions where they require hollow points, I have been to some matches that do that. Not a bad option. See how it runs. Fiocchi's 100 grain, centerfire loaded. This is a lead-free round. Snubby nosed. Gecko 94 grain lead-free round. This is also a snub-nosed. This was running in an unknown mag. Our lightest and fastest load, the 65 grain Civil Trainer from Liberty. Screaming fast out of the 5-inch barrel.
Now a brief pause for commentary. Before I do the 5 shots from 7 yards, I do want to disclaim from the get-go that it was not my best shooting day. I think the gun was probably capable of a lot more. I was just kind of having a rough day at the range, as happens sometimes. And as you know, GBGuns, we don't refilm groups. So as you watch this grouping happen, think of your worst day at the range, because that's kind of how things were flowing for me that day. Alright, enough of me talking.
Now for 5 shots from 7 yards using Nosler 124 grain hollow point match.
So there you have it. That's been my experience with this Colt competition model 9mm 1911. Beautiful gun, very handsome finish on it, and a really smooth shooter. Now, I'm sure if I went and shot again, I could do a better grouping for you. That group wasn't quite perfect, but the gun is just so smooth to shoot, incredibly smooth. I think those dual recoil springs, which I know some of you think might be overkill, are really doing a lot to soften up the recoil and make this a quick, flat shooter. You might have noticed that the ejection just kind of barely throws it out of there, just enough to clear the gun and nothing more, which makes for a smooth shooter. Did need to have quite a bit of energy to get the slide moving, but like I said, it's a competition gun, not meant to be running some of those exotic rounds that we put through it. So hats off to Colt. Good job with this one. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Thanks for watching.